Parallel Life, Awoken by a Lamp, by an anonymous Reddit user. The brain is definitely a mystery to everybody, and even more so, the subconsciousness. Nobody actually knows where thoughts or any of that come from. They don't know where dreams come from either. Maybe they are an alternate reality that we're living in while we rest. Or maybe the days that we live are actual alternate reality while we're resting on some other plane. Either way, sit back, relax, and enjoy the tale. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note that he was 325 pounds and I was 120. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately, she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life, and I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it, and I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me, but by this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk surrounded by people that I didn't know. A lot of them were freaking out and I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged or walked me across the sidewalk and grass and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still so confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive and give me CT scans and shit. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane, as I would cry myself to sleep hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I do see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. I have had many PMs describing similar experiences and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say more research needs to be done on brain functions. Pre-med students Don't assume you know everything. It wasn't anything like a dream. As in dreams, you can tell the difference. But I felt everything while I was living those 10 years in my head. I would go to sleep. I would even have dreams in there. I would wake up and live my life. Now that I'm out of it, every time I sit down or go to sleep and I see a lamp, I can never forget the experience that I went through. And there always seems to be a little something odd about the lamps when I'm looking at them. Maybe I'm still in a dream. Maybe I'm still laying on that floor after being knocked out. Or who knows? I might even be buried in the ground and just living multiple lives. Who knows what reality really is? But as long as I see those lamps, and there's something strange about them, I will never be able to believe that what we are doing in everyday life is an actual reality.